Hi, this is Harish here. Welcome to DB2LUW HADR tutorial part 6. In this tutorial or tip that I want to provide is the TCP/IP send and receive buffer setting at the OS level impedes or hinders the HADR startup in the primary database. The scripts that I am using for this tutorial is available for free at db2luwacademy.blogspot.in. The YouTube channel URL is youtube.com/db2luwacademy, email db2academy@gmail.com. This slide talks about the problem scenario. The problem scenario is I want to demonstrate here a very specific scenario. So wherein the TCP/IP send and receive buffer settings which are set at the OS level impedes or hinders the HADR primary database startup. So this was a very weird issue. Actually, what happens is the TCP/IP send and receive buffers are set at two places. So one is like you can use the db2 HADR registry variables. So the registry variables usually start like db2 underscore HADR underscore SND, some buffer like that. So we'll come to the demonstration section, so that time you will know the exact registry variable. Now when you use these send and receive buffer registry variables to set that particular value, if it is lesser than the OS level TCP/IP send and receive buffer setting, so there is a OS level setting. So if you are requesting something which is like a lesser than the minimum value of the OS limit, then there is some kind of a error happening, and it doesn't properly throw some error messages, but it's just going to say come up with a generic error message saying the HADR startup or the communication could not happen, like within the HADR timeout the primary was not able to contact the standby. So that's the error message you're going to get, and the recent code is 7. So when I get into the demonstration you will see that. So maybe it's an error handling issue or something like that, maybe that's how it is designed or anything. So I'm not trying to find some fault or defect or anything here, so just be aware of this, because see when the error condition happens, we think it is like a network issue because the primary is not connecting to the standby. Okay, so what we think, it is a network issue, it's a port issue, or it's a firewall issue, and we just tend to mix up so many things. But it is very specifically, it is a HADR send and receive buffer issue. So you will have to configure the HADR send and receive buffers accordingly. You can leave it like I think if you leave it null, it will take some system value or some default value, and that is the problem. So if it is like the minimum level, if it is requesting a level the size of the buffer, if it is requesting lesser than the OS level TCP/IP send and receive buffer minimum value, then it is going to be a problem. Okay, so I'll show you that. And it is kind of not, the error messages are not very suggestive enough to reveal that situation. That is also an important thing to consider actually. Okay, so without much further delay, we'll get into this. So if you had watched my previous tutorials, it's the same virtual box, same machine. Xubuntu will be my standby. I have started the instance, so I can go and activate db2 activate db name HADR. So the HADR and everything is already set up, so it needs to come up, the standby needs to come up. Obviously the primary is not up yet, so db2 pd -db HADR. So you're going to see that it is in a disconnected state, which is fine, and this is a standby machine. Okay, now let us go and kickstart our primary database. So db2 activate db name HADR. Now this should actually bring up the primary, and everything looks like seem to work perfectly, and it will work perfectly. I'll show you what is happening. Now this is all done, this is superb, so no issues. So db2 pd -db HADR. So now when you look into this, you will see that it is connected. Okay, and it is in the primary like connected state. Okay, and you can also see here it should reflect the status change, right? So come back here, so you will see that it is in connected and it is in peer state. So this is the correct scenario, so there is no issues here. So look at now what happens when I do this. So I am going to deactivate db HADR. Okay, and I'm going to set the So I'll show you the initial setting. So the HADR send and receive buffers, so you can see that it's set to 4096. So what I do is I go and set this the buffers to some value like 2048, okay, and so the receive buffer we have sent. Now we will set the send buffer 2048, okay. Then I am going to stop the instance, because for this registry variable to take effect we have to stop the instance. So now again I will start the instance, and once the instance gets started, what I will do, I will also clear the dialog so that it will be somewhat clear for the understanding, you know, like the dialog message also is not that intuitive about this. So I just wanted to show you that. Let's go to the dialog, okay, and I will just clear the dialog of everything, okay. So it's now cleared. Now the instance is started. So db2, so you can see that the registry variable is set as 2048. Now db2 activate db name HADR, and obviously the standby, it should not be like in a disconnected state, right. So it is in disconnected state, and the standby is in disconnected state. So we have shown that. Now let's go to the primary, hit activate HADR. Now here we have requested 2048, right. Earlier it was 4096. So I have changed that to 2048, and I have to stop and restart the instance for that variable to take effect. And once I do that, you can see that the HADR, which was pretty successful, like it was able to communicate, it was in pair state. Now it will wait for the 2 minutes, like the timeout, and it's going to come back with me, come back to me with an error, the error condition being like primary is not able to contact standby. You know, that's the kind of error that we are going to get. So even though nothing is changed in the network, nothing is changed in the ports, nothing is changed in the firewall, so there is no issues at all. There are no network communication variables that are coming into play except for the send and receive buffer, okay. The maybe we are requesting some additional buffer size or something, you know, that is the problem. So this registry variable, when you set this is the 4096, and if you set it lesser than that, it's going to give me error. And why it is giving me like lesser than 4096, why it is allowing me 4096 is because at the OS level this has been set as a minimum value. So I'm going to show you that as well. So let me open up a terminal, and I'm going to say more/etc/sysctl.conf. So again, don't try to take these settings and do for your own things like in your environment. This is a completely AX admin, Linux admin, OS admin job. So so I don't know why somebody will go and override these things. Usually these 4 lines were not there actually, okay. So when you configure a default system, when the Ubuntu or Ubuntu or whatever server you use, they have certain defaults, and those defaults are reasonably good, okay. We don't need to tune them, and we can always ask for more, but this is kind of a reverse condition where I'm asking for less, okay. And also I have modified this like the minimum value as 4096. So you can look at here the TCP RMEM, TCP WMEM, I have put 4096 as the minimum, and maximum is some 16 MB like that, okay. So that's the maximum I have given, and the minimum is 4096. Because of this minimum value of 4096, okay, when the HADR, see here the activate db HADR, when you start with something which is 2048, it's not going to allow. But the problem is it's going to tell reason code 7, right. So if you go and look at that reason code, right, double quotes SQL 1768N reason code 7. So the reason code 7 is like the primary database failed to establish a connection within the HADR timeout interval. There are multiple scenarios that can cause this condition, blah 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 blah, okay. So the corrective actions, if you look at, maybe the error is not that much user intuitive or something like that. So let's look at the corrective actions, okay. So what do the corrective actions say to me here, okay. Okay, 7. Okay, see, the corrective actions are like, whether the network is functioning, look for the dialog, whether some additional messages are there, whether the parameters are set correctly, timeout configuration, peer window configuration. So usually these things suggests that something in the network is bad, and it is bad. Something in the network is bad, but it's not like on a communication side. It's just on the buffer side. So I don't know. So let's look into the dialog. Like if it says anything. See, the instance is started and all, and the HADR startup. See, the EDU startup has begun, and it never says something which is more meaningful, like saying the buffer, it could not allocate the required buffer, or the OS level is stopping the buffer allocation or something like that. You can see that requested is 2048, actual is 4608, and it is gone. It has gone there and allocated the buffers, but then it's not able to communicate properly. So see, the remote end may have closed connection, 0 bytes received. TCP I don't know what is happening there though, right? See, that is the problem. So even though see, ultimately it's not shutting down the HADR EDU, right? So why it is doing that, it's not that clear, right? So I'm not sure. So even anybody who is looking into this is going to consider this is some firewall issue, network communication issue, or port issue, or connectivity issue. It's not. Okay, it's definitely not. It is a buffer issue. Okay, and you can see it is info. It's not even error. Okay, and it says it is allocated. I don't know what is happening, guys. So it was very difficult to figure this out. Okay, it was very difficult to figure this out. It's just because I am in a personal laptop, I do things, so obviously I know what things I have done, and I can undo the things, and it started working. That's why I figured it out. Otherwise it would have been a mess actually. And you should have probably some OS way of looking into there is a command DMESG, so which looks for the OS logs and other things. Okay, but I don't think so even that is helpful. So DMESG pipe more like that. So I don't know how to look into these logs, like any meaningful information, whether we'll get anything out of it, specifically what is happening in the network, how to debug. I mean, I leave that to the experts. Like let the network people do that, so we are not going to disturb them. So so whatever it is, this was a very weird scenario, and hope this information or a tip was useful to you, and you should be able to see that. Okay, I'll show you that. So since it is not connected, you'll see that it is still in disconnected state, right? The standby is still in disconnected. So in order to fix that, all you need to do is go back to your terminal, like set your this one to 4096. So I will show you that. So why to leave it. Then okay, we have set the receive buffer. Now we have to set the send buffer also. So that is the minimum value that you should set. Okay, so 4096, then db2 stop, then db2 start, then go and activate the database. It should get activated. Done. Just the buffer issue, no network, no port, no communication issues at all. Okay, that was real difficult to figure this out. Okay, so any case, hope this information was useful to you. See you in the next video tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel youtube.com/db2luw academy. Until then, bye bye.